like to mention Biden because he's not controlling anything.
Who do you think is pulling Biden's strings? Is it former Obama
people
officials?
That you've never heard of, people that are in the dark shadows, people that
what does that mean? That sounds like conspiracy theory. Dark shadows.
No, people that you haven't heard of. They're people that are on the streets. They're people that are controlling the streets. We had somebody get on a plane from a certain city this weekend, and in the plane it was almost completely loaded with thugs wearing these dark uniforms, black uniforms with gear and this and that. They're on a plane.
Where's this?
I'll tell you sometime, but it's under investigation right now. But they came from a...
Even Fox News' Laura Ingraham couldn't believe what she was hearing last night in her interview with Donald Trump. She did a very long primetime interview on Fox News with Trump with the sole goal of making him look good. Some recent interviews Donald Trump has done, whether it was with Jonathan Swan of Axios on HBO, or whether it was Chris Wallace on Fox News, the same network that Ingraham's on, they actually held Trump to account. When Trump lied or you spread misinformation or disinformation, they called him out on it, often with specific data or quotes to the contrary or information to the contrary, or asking Trump to prove his claims, which he more often than not could not do. And they very much embarrassed him. And he looked very bad in both of those interviews. The Fox News one probably even more damaging because you can't accuse Fox News of having an anti-Trump bias. And so this interview, where a lot of the same topics came up, was there to help Trump because Ingraham is a pro-Trump voice on a pro-Trump network. Unlike Chris Wallace, I don't think she sees herself as unbiased. I think she sees her role to be very much a partisan, conservative, Republican Trump voice on the network. That's the role she plays. She plays it fairly well. And so that's why she got this interview. But even she couldn't basically avoid the fact that Donald Trump was spreading conspiracy theories in this interview, specifically around the dark shadow claim that Biden is being run by a secret cabal of people that you don't know, that the regular American doesn't know, but he knows them. They're filling planes full of people that are going to American cities to cause trouble, and these planes are full and they're all wearing black and they're very ominous people, and Trump can't tell you where these planes are coming from, who's on them, where they're going. Laura Ingraham asks, he won't tell her, he says that he'll tell her later, but it's under investigation, and none of this is true. None of this is true. It's all rooted in this narrative that exists among the Trump universe, the MAGA universe, that there's a deep state of liberals and Hollywood elites and certain billionaires, anti-Trump billionaires that are running the show behind the scenes, and they're the real threat. They're simultaneously the people running the Democratic Party, the Biden campaign. If Biden wins, they will be running his presidency, but also they're the people on the ground running Black Lives Matter and the protests we've been seeing, whether in Portland or anywhere else. That's the Trump narrative. Now, of course, this is rooted in actually very ugly ideology centering around Jewish people. Specifically, this is an argument a lot of people on the very far right are going to hear very clearly. It's a dog whistle to them. That, the George Soros conspiracy, the Rothschild conspiracy, these are all rooted in the idea that there's a secretive group of Jewish people basically running the show, and you don't know about them, but they're there, and they're the ones in charge, and we have to stop them before it's too late. And that's what Trump is nodding to. He is very much saying that. This narrative is about, we have to protect the country. Biden's not really in charge. It's not Joe Biden. These people are much worse, and you don't even know who they are. And all Laura Ingraham could do, besides looking perplexed and baffled, was say, "Sir, it sounds like a conspiracy theory." And again, I have to be clear. She was here to make him look good. It was a pre-taped interview. It was not live. So what they got was the best of what they got. If there was something Trump, was so angered about, they might not even have aired it. What you saw was what they wanted you to see to make Trump look good, or at least the very best they thought they could get from this interview. There was an instance where Donald Trump compared what happened to Jacob Blake at the hands of police in Kenosha. He compared it to somebody missing a short putt at the end of a good hole of golf. that they basically choked on the putt. They missed a 3-foot putt. And it sounds very insensitive that you would compare what happened to Jacob Blake to having a bit of a bad shot in a game of golf. And Laura Ingraham got that. Like, she's not that out of touch. And she basically tries to say, Mr. President, are you sure you really mean that? And he's like doubling, tripling down, saying, yeah, I definitely, want to make that comparison. And she's trying to help him avoid the bad soundbite. So this is very much the opposite of the Chris Wallace and Jonathan Swan interview. She's not there to hold him accountable. She's there to basically help him do an infomercial for his 2020 campaign on Fox News, staged as a quote-unquote serious interview. And he still failed to come out of it not looking like a deranged conspiratorial maniac. That's what you got from the president. This is a clear dog whistle to his people, that there are secretive, foreign, globalist, evil people behind the Biden campaign, and you don't know who they are, and I'm the only one that can protect you from it. It's an ugly view. I don't know if it's actually going to appeal to people on the bubble. I think it sounds really bad, but goodness knows at this stage. Every time I think, Donald Trump has said something and that's going to cost him all but, the 20-30% of people that are really hardcore Trumpers, I tend to be wrong. He never loses very many people at all whenever he does something like this. We'll see this time. But again, if you want to see Exhibit A of how Trump is acting right now, because either he is so unhinged from reality or because he knows his bases and he wants to appeal to them, show people this. This was the perfect interview for Trump to try and portray himself as reasonable, as presidential, as moderate, what have you, with an interviewer that was happy to do it, and he still failed.